Is it a good idea to write a novel in a way that borrows quite a few of the conventions of writing a screenplay? Uh, this is surprisingly kind of a controversial topic among Canadian literary types. Now, the idea is not, in a general sense, particularly new. I had a conversation a while back with the Canadian mystery writer John McFetridge, and I was talking on Facebook about how I'd written a novel entirely in the form of a screenplay, and I'd used a lot of my own artwork in it as storyboard roughs, and I had used photographs as still photographs from this quote unquote movie. And I said this hadn't been done before. And then John said, well, I put a movie script in part of my novel. Now, what he did was he wrote a conventional novel, and in sections of it, there were excerpts from a movie script. So there's that kind of approach. And The Canadian writer Michael Turner, many years ago, wrote a teleplay called American Whiskey Bar, and it was broadcast live on City TV. I remember there was quite a bit of buzz around it, and I went down with a friend to watch the broadcast of American Whiskey Bar. It wasn't taped. I mean, it was broadcast as it was acted out, and that was considered sort of novel. The director Bruce McDonald was pretty nervous about something going wrong, but it went off without a hitch. And then quite a few years later, after I'd moved to Korea, to South Korea, I posted online about how I had written a novel entirely in the form of a screenplay with illustrations, and this hadn't been done before. And another Facebook acquaintance said to me, well, Michael Turner did that. And I realized that what Turner did was he took his teleplay and he adapted it into book form, and he used the sort of conceit, which was that the teleplay was sort of like this found manuscript, and it was part of a novel. And then he had this introductory essay to sort of explain the finding and the context of this teleplay. It's this whole fictional preface that he writes, and then the whole thing was packaged as sort of like a meta, postmodern uh, narrative. And it's really basically the teleplay that he took from the TV broadcast. And there was another writer around the same time that I was posting online about writing a novel in the form of a screenplay, a French guy named Claude Cholosson, I think his name was, if my memory serves me correctly. And he was writing something that he called a Cinarome. And again, he took aspects of a screenplay and adapted them to novel form. Now, uh, what I've done is I will write a manuscript, a novel manuscript, and keep in mind that the average novel manuscript is at least 40,000 words long, and that screenplays for movies tend to be in the range of 15 to 20,000 words. So a novel at its minimum is quite a bit longer than a screenplay. And which means that there's more room to develop characters, more room to sort of develop the plot and so forth. Um, and As well, there obviously are many, many inventions and many, many sort of experiments in the whole world of graphic fiction. But, and I've done graphic fiction too, incidentally. But when with graphic fiction, what you're doing is basically creating like a comic strip, a comic book, and you do the art and you do the text. And with the idea that I had, the artwork and the storyboard roughs that I've done storyboards for actual videos in the past, and so I made my own storyboards for these novel manuscripts or stills, quote unquote stills from the movie. Um, they were inserted into the text afterwards, like illustrations. And there is a big, big advantage to working that way over doing graphic fiction, because with graphic fiction, as I said, you're making a comic book. You have to do everything at the same time. The text and the drawings are tightly integrated. They're done at the same time. With this approach, you write the script first, and then you insert the visuals later. And that is a big advantage, because you can sort of play around with each and make modifications much more easily if you choose to. But the real reason I've worked in this way is I think people's imaginations have changed. I think that people have become worse and worse at reading. I happen to like beltristic literary fiction, by the way, but I think that a lot of the people who decide what gets into print or not aren't as good at reading those manuscripts as they used to be. And so a lot of middlebrow junk gets into print. And second of all, average people and authors themselves really enjoy movies. I've noticed that many authors on social media will sort of, when they let their guard down, even though they will speak enthusiastically about writing by another living author, will really reserve their greatest enthusiasm for shows on streaming services like Netflix, art house movies, blockbuster movies, and so forth. So in that sense, both among the literati and the average population, there is a greater interest now. We are now movie watchers more than we are novel readers, and I think the whole universe of novel writing needs to think about that and needs to make some intelligent adaptations to that new cultural reality.